Jace's ship was shaking violently. Alarms screamed all around him as bright red lights flashed on the control panel. He gripped the steering controls tightly, trying to steady the vessel. But the storm outside was too strong. His ship, the Starhawk, was slipping out of control. "Come on, hold together," Jace muttered. His heart raced as the ship spun and twisted in the dark sky. Suddenly, a loud bang shook the cabin. Jace was thrown forward, hitting his head against the dashboard. Stars flashed before his eyes. The ship plummeted through thick clouds and slammed hard onto a rocky surface. The impact threw Jace against the controls again, and everything went black. When Jace woke, his head throbbed. He opened his eyes slowly and blinked away the dust. The cabin was cracked and broken. The ship was dead. He was alone. He pushed himself up and looked around. Outside the broken window, the sky was a strange orange color. 2 suns hung low on the horizon, casting long shadows across a landscape of jagged rocks and dry, thorny bushes. This was not any place Jace had seen before. He felt pain in his leg and arm, but he was alive. For now, Jace knew he had to move. Staying by the wreckage was dangerous. The planet looked wild and empty, but he could not be sure. Something about the silence felt heavy, like the calm before a storm. He grabbed a small survival pack from the damaged cockpit. Inside were a few essentials: a water pouch, some energy bars, a small knife, and a basic communicator. The communicator had no signal. He was stranded. Jace limped out of the ship, scanning the horizon. In the distance, he could see tall mountains with strange shapes. The air was dry and dusty. He breathed deeply and tasted the unfamiliar flavor of the atmosphere. It was thin but breathable. He set off slowly, favoring his injured leg. Every step was painful, but he could not stay near the wreck. He needed shelter, food, and water. He hoped to find signs of life, maybe someone who could help. Hours passed as Jace walked across the rocky ground. The sun burned hot in the sky, making the rocks shimmer with heat. He felt tired and thirsty, but he refused to give up. Suddenly, he heard a noise, a soft rustling sound coming from behind a group of tall, sharp rocks. He froze, heart pounding. Was it an animal? Or something worse? Carefully, Jace crept closer to the rocks, hiding behind a boulder to watch. Then he saw them, 2 figures moving quickly and with purpose. As they stepped into the light, Jace could make out their features. They were women, strong and tall, dressed in armor made of metal and leather. They carried long, curved weapons that glinted in the sun. Jace's breath caught in his throat. These women looked fierce, like warriors from some ancient story. They moved with skill and confidence, clearly used to fighting. One of them spoke, her voice sharp and commanding. "Keep your eyes open. We must find the challenger." The other woman nodded, her hand resting on her weapon. "The queen will choose soon. No one wants to lose." Jace's mind raced. What was this? He had landed in a place ruled by women warriors? He took a step back, but a loose stone under his foot made a loud crack. The 2 women snapped their heads toward him. "Who's there?" the first woman demanded, raising her weapon. Jace stepped out slowly, hands raised to show he meant no harm. I'm lost. My ship crashed. I don't want trouble." The women stared at him with suspicion. The first woman, taller and with sharp eyes, lowered her weapon slightly but didn't relax. "A man here? This is no place for your kind." Jace swallowed hard. "I just want to survive. Can you help me?" The second woman studied him, her expression softening. "We help those who earn respect here. Survival is not easy on this planet. You must prove yourself." Jace nodded, understanding the challenge before him. "I'm ready." The first woman stepped forward, her gaze sharp. "I am Kira, the queen of this land. Here, women fight to earn the right to choose mates. Only the strongest and bravest are respected. You are the first man to arrive in many years." Jace blinked in surprise. "Choose mates? You mean, fight for partners?" Kira smiled, but it was not warm. "Yes, we live by strength and honor. Every warrior fights in the arena. The winner gains the right to choose." Jace's mind spun. This was not just a wild planet. It was a society built on competition and power. "Then I guess I will have to fight," he said quietly. Kira studied him for a moment. "You have spirit, stranger. But strength here means more than courage. You must learn our ways." Jace felt a mix of fear and determination. He had survived many dangers before, but this world was unlike any other. If he wanted to live, he had to adapt. Kira motioned for him to follow. "Come, we will take you to the arena. There you will see what it means to fight for respect." Jace limped after her, feeling the weight of every step. The sun dipped lower, casting long shadows on the rocky ground. As they walked, Jace looked around. The land was harsh and unforgiving, but there was a strange beauty in the way the wind swept through the rocks and the distant mountains glowed red. He thought about home, Earth, where things were easier, safer. But home was gone for now. This planet was his new reality. When they reached a large clearing, Jace saw dozens of women gathered. They wore armor, scars, and fierce expressions. Some practiced with swords, others with bare hands. The air was filled with energy and tension. Kira stopped and turned to face Jace. This is the arena. Here every warrior fights for honor. If you want to survive, you must understand this world's rules. Jace took a deep breath and nodded. I will try. One of the warriors stepped forward, her eyes sharp. He's just a man, she said, laughing. How can he hope to compete with us? Kira's voice cut through the laughter. He has survived the crash. That counts for something. Strength comes in many forms. Jace felt a small spark of hope. That night, under the twin suns, Jace lay on the rocky ground, staring at the stars. The sounds of the warrior camp filled the air, laughing, training, planning. He was alone, far from everything he knew. But for the first time since the crash, he felt something else. A chance. A chance to prove that even a lone man, lost on a distant planet, could survive and maybe, just maybe, belong. Jace woke with the first light of the twin suns peeking over the Rocky Mountains. His body ached from the crash and the long walk, but his mind was sharper now. Last night's events weighed heavily on him. He was in a strange new world where women fought to win the right to choose mates. And somehow he was the only man here. As he sat up on a flat rock near the camp, he watched the warriors around him. Some trained with swords, their moves swift and precise. Others wrestled, using strength and skill to push their opponents down. The sound of clashing metal and fierce shouts filled the air. Kira, the queen who had spoken to him the day before, appeared at the edge of the camp. Her presence was strong and commanding. She wore armor that shone even in the morning sun and carried a long spear. She walked straight to Jace, her eyes sharp but not unkind. It is time, she said simply. Jace stood, feeling the pain in his leg again. Time for what? To learn our ways. To survive here, you must understand our trials. We do not accept weakness. Jace nodded, though he felt nervous. He had no experience in fighting like this, but he was determined to try. Kira led him to a large open space surrounded by stone pillars. Around them, a crowd of women gathered, their eyes filled with curiosity and challenge. This is the training ground, Kira explained. Here, every warrior proves her strength and skill. You will train with the best. Jace looked around, seeing women of all shapes and sizes. Some were tall and muscular, others fast and agile. All had a look of fierce determination. Who will train me? Jace asked. Kira smiled slightly. You will start with Nara. A young woman stepped forward. She was shorter than Kira but moved with quick, sharp energy. Her dark eyes studied Jace carefully. I'll make this quick, Nara said with a smirk. Show me what you've got. Jace swallowed hard but took a fighting stance he had learned during basic self-defense training long ago. Nara lunged at him fast. Jace barely dodged her first strike, feeling the rush of air as her blade passed close. He raised his arms to block, but her movements were too quick. She pushed him back with a strong shove, making him stumble. Not bad, she said, circling him. But you're slow. Jace breathed deeply, trying to calm his racing heart. I'm learning, he said. Nara smiled. Good. You'll need to. For hours, Jace trained under Nara's watchful eye. She was a tough teacher, pushing him harder than he expected. She showed him how to hold a weapon properly, how to read an opponent's moves, and how to use his body's weight to his advantage. Jace was not as fast or strong as the women here, but he had other skills. He learned quickly and remembered every lesson. His mind worked fast, finding patterns and weaknesses in Nara's attacks. By the end of the day, Jace was exhausted. His muscles ached and his leg throbbed, but he had improved. Kira watched silently from a distance. When training ended, she approached Jace. You have courage, she said, but this world is not kind to the weak. You will face many challenges, Jace nodded. I understand. That night, as the camp settled, Jace found a quiet place to rest. He thought about what Kira said. The queen ruled here, but many others fought to challenge her power. Strength was the law. He knew he had to do more than just train. He had to prove himself. The next morning, Jace awoke to loud voices and pounding footsteps. Warriors were gathering for the first trial, a test of endurance and strength. Kira stood before the crowd. "Today you will face the trials of the stone. Only those who pass will fight in the arena." Jace's heart pounded. The trials were the gateway to respect but also to danger. The first challenge was simple to understand but hard to complete. Each participant had to carry a heavy stone block across a rough, rocky path. The block was large and rough, weighing more than any weight Jace had ever lifted. Nara stood beside him, nodding encouragingly. "You can do this." Jace took a deep breath and grasped the stone. His arms shook under the weight. The path was long, and the rocks cut into his hands. Step by step, he moved forward. The sun beat down on him, sweat pouring from his brow. His legs trembled, and every muscle screamed to give up. But Jace forced himself to keep going. Around him, women struggled too, some falling and crawling to the end, but the crowd cheered those who made it. When Jace finally reached the finish, he dropped the stone, gasping for air. Kira approached, her face unreadable. "You passed." Jace's chest swelled with pride. He had survived the first trial. The next challenges tested agility and combat skill. Jace had to run through obstacle courses, dodge swinging logs, and wrestle with fierce warriors. Each time he grew stronger. He learned to trust his instincts and use his mind to compensate for his lack of brute strength. The women who once doubted him began to nod with respect. Some even smiled, but not everyone was pleased. One warrior, tall and muscular, named Zara, watched Jace with cold eyes. Zara was known for being the fiercest fighter, undefeated in many battles. She stepped forward during the final trial. "This man thinks he belongs here," she said loudly. "He is weak and untested. He will fail." Jace met her gaze steadily. "I will prove myself." The final trial was a one-on-one combat match. The winner would move closer to earning a place in the arena and the chance to face the queen. Jace and Zara stood opposite each other in the training ground. The crowd held its breath. Zara attacked first, strong and fast. Jace dodged and blocked, using the skills Nara had taught him. He was not as powerful, but he was quick and clever. Minutes passed and the fight grew more intense. Zara's strikes were fierce, but Jace saw openings. He used his small size to slip past her guard and land light blows. Zara stumbled, surprised. Jace pressed his advantage, staying calm and focused. Finally, Zara stepped back and dropped her weapon. "You have heart," she said, breathing hard. "You have earned your place here." The crowd erupted in cheers. For the first time, a man had passed the trials and earned respect among the warriors. Kira stepped forward, her eyes bright. "You have survived the trials, Jace. You are stronger than many who came before." Jace bowed his head. "Thank you." That night, as the camp celebrated, Jace felt hope. He was no longer just a stranger or a survivor. He was becoming part of this fierce world. But deep inside, he knew the real challenge was yet to come. The queen would soon choose her next opponent in the arena, and Jace's name was being whispered more and more. What would happen when he faced Kira? Could a lone man truly survive among warriors who had fought for power all their lives? Jace did not know the answers yet, but he was ready to find out. The morning sun rose over the Rocky Mountains, casting long shadows on the arena. Jace stood at the edge of the open space, feeling the weight of every eye on him. The arena was a wide, circular pit surrounded by stone walls, with seats carved into the cliffs where the warriors gathered to watch. Today was different. Today was the day the undefeated queen, Kira, would choose her next challenger. The air was thick with tension and excitement. Jace had trained hard since passing the trials. He had learned much from the warriors, their fighting techniques, their rules, and their unbreakable spirit. But nothing prepared him for the weight of this moment. The crowd was mostly women, fierce and proud, watching silently. Some whispered among themselves while others stared openly, their eyes filled with questions and doubt. Kira stepped into the arena, her armor shining under the twin suns. She carried her long spear, moving with grace and power. The crowd fell silent as she raised her hand. "Today I will fight to defend my crown," she announced. Her voice was strong and clear. "And I will face the challenger who has earned this right." Her eyes locked on Jace. Jace's heart pounded, but he stood tall. He was ready. A few days earlier, Kira had declared that anyone wanting to challenge her must step forward. Many warriors had tried, but none had lasted more than a few minutes. Now, All eyes were on the man who had survived the trials and dared to face the queen herself. The gate behind Jace opened, and a group of warriors entered the arena. They brought weapons, shields, and protective gear. Jace took a deep breath and prepared himself. His mind was calm but alert. Kira circled him, her spear ready. She studied him carefully. "Your spirit is strong," she said, "but strength is more than courage. It is power, skill, and heart." Jace nodded. "I understand." The horn sounded, a deep, powerful blast that echoed across the rocky cliffs. The battle began. Kira attacked first with lightning speed. Her spear flew through the air, aiming for Jace's shoulder. He dodged just in time, rolling to the side. The crowd gasped. Jace scrambled to his feet and drew a short blade he had been given during training. It was light and sharp, but no match for Kira's spear. They circled each other, eyes locked. Kira lunged again, this time aiming low. Jace blocked with his blade, but felt the force push him back. He stumbled, but stayed on his feet. Kira smiled, impressed. "You learn quickly." Jace knew he had to keep moving. He remembered Nara's lessons. Watch for openings, use your speed, and stay calm. He waited for Kira to strike, then stepped in close. Using his blade, he aimed a quick slash at her arm. Kira blocked, but Jace felt a small victory. He was holding his own. They fought fiercely, exchanging blows and dodges. The arena echoed with the sounds of metal clashing and heavy breathing. Minutes passed like this, each moment more intense than the last. Then, Kira stepped back and called out, "Enough!" Jace lowered his blade, surprised. Kira smiled, her eyes bright with respect. "You have fought well, stranger. Few have lasted this long." Jace wiped sweat from his brow. "Thank you." The crowd cheered loudly. Many warriors clapped, some shouting words of encouragement. Kira approached Jace and placed a hand on his shoulder. "You have earned more than respect today. You have earned my interest." Jace blinked. "Your interest?" Kira nodded. "I am the queen, and I choose those who fight with honor and strength. You have shown both. I will consider you." Jace's heart raced. This was more than he had hoped for, but Kira's face grew serious again. "There is danger ahead. Our planet faces a threat beyond any battle here." She turned to the crowd. "An invader species moves toward our world. They seek to conquer and destroy." The warriors murmured, fear and anger in their voices. Jace looked at Kira, determination growing inside him. "What can I do to help?" Kira met his gaze. "You have knowledge we do not. Technology and strategy. If you wish to survive here, you must fight for more than honor. You must fight for our future." Jace nodded. "I will do everything I can." Over the next days, Jace worked alongside Kira and her warriors. He shared ideas about defense and technology from his own world. He helped improve their weapons and taught them new tactics for battle. Slowly, the warrior clans united under Kira's leadership, preparing for the coming attack. Jace found himself not just a fighter, but a leader and a symbol of hope. One evening, as the sun set, Kira and Jace stood overlooking the camp. "You have changed much in a short time," Kira said quietly. "You bring new strength," Jace smiled. "And you have taught me what true strength means." They looked out at the horizon, where dark shapes moved like shadows, signs of the approaching enemy. The real battle was about to begin, but together, Jace and Kira knew they could face it. For the first time, hope burned bright on this wild planet ruled by warriors. The sky burned orange as the twin suns sank behind the Rocky Mountains. The camp buzzed with activity. Women warriors moved quickly, preparing weapons and supplies. The air was filled with urgency and determination. Jace stood near the center of the camp, watching the scene. It was hard to believe how much had changed since his crash. He had gone from a lone survivor to a trusted advisor and fighter. But the real test was still ahead. Kira approached him, her armor gleaming in the sunset light. She looked serious but calm. "The invaders will be here soon," she said. Jace nodded. "We need a plan." Kira's eyes met his. "You brought new ideas, new ways to fight. But this battle will test all of us." Jace smiled slightly. "Then let's make sure we're ready." Over the next days, Jace worked closely with the Queen and her warriors. He shared knowledge about tactics, technology, and teamwork, things that were common on his home planet but new to this world. At first, some warriors were skeptical. They had fought for generations relying on their strength and skills in battle. Machines and strategy were foreign to them, but Kira stood by Jace's side, supporting him openly. Strength is not just muscle, she told them. It is mind and heart. Slowly, the clans began to listen. Jace helped build simple machines, turrets for defense, traps for the enemy, and improved weapons that combined traditional design with new technology. The warriors practiced with these tools, learning how to use them alongside their own fighting styles. Training became intense. Warriors sparred harder, ran faster, and planned together. Jace was amazed at their dedication and courage. One afternoon, while testing a new weapon, a scout rushed into camp. "They are close!" she shouted, breathing hard. Kira's face hardened. "Prepare for battle." Jace helped organize defenses quickly. Women took positions along the cliffs and around the camp, ready for the enemy. As the first invaders appeared on the horizon, the warriors stood united. They were fierce, strong, and ready. The enemy was strange. A large group of armored creatures moving with heavy steps and strange weapons. They were unlike anything Jace had seen before. The battle began with a roar. Turrets fired, arrows flew, and warriors charged into the enemy ranks. Jace moved with Kira, coordinating the defense. The fighting was brutal. The invaders pushed hard, using advanced weapons and numbers to try and overwhelm the warriors. But the warriors fought with everything they had. They used every trick and weapon Jace had helped prepare. Jace noticed something important. The invaders were strong but slow. Their heavy armor made them less flexible. He shouted to Kira, "Use their weakness. Hit fast and move." Kira nodded and led a group of warriors in quick attacks on the flanks. They struck hard and disappeared before the enemy could react. The tide of battle slowly shifted, but just as victory seemed near, the invaders released strange flying machines that attacked from above. The warriors struggled to defend against the new threat. Jace quickly directed the turret teams to focus on the flying machines. With careful aiming, they managed to take down several. Kira fought fiercely on the ground, inspiring her warriors with every strike. The battle lasted for hours. Both sides suffered losses. At the end, the invaders retreated, leaving the warriors victorious but exhausted. The camp was quiet except for the sounds of healing and repairs. Jace looked around at the tired faces. "We did it," he said softly. Kira approached, her eyes shining with pride. "Together we are stronger." That night by the fire, warriors gathered to share stories and celebrate. Jace sat beside Kira, feeling a sense of belonging he had never known. Suddenly, Kira spoke quietly. "You have done more than I expected. You have changed the way we fight and the way we see strength." Jace smiled. "You taught me that strength is more than muscle. It's heart, courage, and unity." Kira nodded. "The invaders will return. We must be ready." Jace looked up at the stars. "Then we will be." Their alliance had grown beyond survival. It was now a bond of respect and trust. As the camp settled under the twin moons, Jace knew that the hardest battles were still ahead. But he was no longer alone. He had found a home among warriors, strong, proud women who fought not just for power, but for their people and their future. And for the first time, Jace believed that even a man from another world could make a difference here. The dawn was quiet, the twin suns just beginning to rise over the mountains. The air was cool but heavy with anticipation. The warriors gathered silently, preparing for what would be the greatest battle this planet had ever seen. Jace stood beside Kira, the queen who had chosen him. Both wore armor marked by scratches and dents from previous fights. Their faces were calm but determined. "This day will decide more than crowns," Kira said softly, looking out over the assembled warriors. "It will decide the future of our world." Jace nodded. "We're ready." The enemy had returned, stronger and more organized. Their dark ships hovered in the sky, casting long shadows over the rocky ground. From their ships, armored invaders marched forward, weapons ready, but the warriors were not afraid. Jace took a deep breath. He remembered how lost he had been when he first crashed here. Now he was part of something greater, a team, a family fighting for survival. Kira stepped forward. "Warriors, today we fight not just for our lives, but for everything we hold dear." A roar went up from the crowd. The battle began with a thunderous clash. Jace and Kira fought side by side, their movements perfectly timed. Kira's spear struck true, and Jace used his quickness to outmaneuver enemies much larger than himself. The warriors used everything they had learned. The traps, the machines, the new tactics Jace had introduced, combined with their own fierce skills. Jace spotted the enemy leader, a towering figure with heavy armor and a glowing weapon. He was unlike any enemy they had seen before, strong and cruel. "We must take him down," Jace told Kira. Kira nodded. "Follow me." They pushed through the chaos, fighting past waves of invaders. The enemy leader raised his weapon, sending a powerful blast toward them. Jace dove to the side, feeling the heat pass just inches from his face. Kira charged, her spear aimed at the leader's chest. He blocked but stumbled from the force. Jace moved quickly, drawing a small blade he had hidden for moments like this. He aimed for the leader's side. The blade struck, and the enemy leader roared in pain. The battle grew more intense as the invaders fought harder to protect their leader. Jace and Kira fought back to back, their movements in perfect harmony. The warriors around them pushed forward, inspired by their queen and her unexpected ally. Slowly, the invaders began to falter. With a final strike, Kira's spear pierced the enemy leader's armor. He fell to the ground, defeated. The remaining invaders saw their leader fall and began to retreat. Cheers erupted from the warriors. Jace and Kira stood, breathing heavily but victorious. The battle was won. As the sun set that day, the warriors gathered to celebrate. The invaders had been driven away and the planet was safe once more. Kira turned to Jace, her eyes warm. "You came to us a stranger, but you fought like one of us." Jace smiled. "And I found strength I never knew I had." The women cheered for their queen and the man who had earned their respect. But more than that, they cheered for the future, a future where strength, courage, and heart ruled the day. Jace looked around at the faces of the warriors, proud and fierce. This planet, once strange and dangerous, had become home. Kira took Jace's hand. "Will you stay with us? Fight by our side?" Jace nodded without hesitation. "Yes, together we will protect this world." And so, under the twin suns and endless stars, a new chapter began. A chapter where warriors and allies stood united, ready to face whatever the universe might bring. Because here, on this wild planet, strength was not just about fighting. It was about trust, honor, and the courage to stand together.